My child, I know there are things in your life that feel gone, opportunities you missed, relationships that faded, seasons that ended before you were ready, dreams that felt too delayed, and moments you wish you could go back and change. You've wondered if certain things are too late, too broken, too far gone, or impossible to recover. But listen closely. Nothing is ever truly lost when it's in my hands. What you thought was over, I am restoring. What you thought was gone, I am rebuilding. What you thought was finished, I am breathing life into again. My child, I know there have been moments where you looked at certain parts of your life and felt that something precious was gone forever. There were people you thought would stay, opportunities you believed would grow, seasons you expected would continue, and dreams you once carried with confidence. When those things shifted, changed, or slipped out of your hands, it left you with questions, confusion, and sometimes a quiet ache you didn't know how to express. You wondered whether you made the wrong choice, missed something important, or failed somewhere along the way. You wondered if things would be different had you spoken differently, acted differently, or understood more. But listen carefully. Nothing you lost caught me by surprise, and nothing that truly belongs to your destiny can permanently leave your life. There were things you held onto tightly because you believed they were necessary to your future, and when they fell apart, you thought something in you had fallen apart as well. But my child, sometimes I have to allow certain things to end because you deserved better than what you were settling for. Sometimes I allow separation because comfort was replacing growth. Sometimes I allow loss because attachment was blocking alignment. Sometimes I remove what you thought you needed so I can give you what was meant for you all along. I saw every tear you cried over what you couldn't understand. I saw the silent moments where you replayed conversations, replayed memories, replayed possibilities, wondering where things shifted or why it happened the way it did. I saw the way you tried to stay strong while carrying pain no one else knew existed. I saw the way you forced yourself to move forward even when a part of you still lived in the past. And I want you to hear me clearly. I was with you in every one of those moments. You were never navigating loss alone, even when you thought I was silent, even when you felt abandoned by circumstances. My presence never left your side. Some things you lost were never meant to stay, not because you were unworthy, but because they weren't aligned with where I am taking you. There were relationships that were seasonal, not lifelong. There were environments that served your past, not your future. There were roles you had outgrown, even if you didn't realize it yet. Sometimes the loss wasn't punishment, it was protection. There are things you prayed for that didn't happen because I knew they would have caused more pain if they stayed. There were doors I closed not to limit you, but to redirect you to the right one. You have been mourning something, but you have not understood that I am the one who held it, not the one who took it randomly. Nothing slips out of your life without passing through my sovereignty. Nothing leaves without purpose. Every ending became space for something new. Every loss created room for deeper blessing. Every closed chapter prepared you for the next one. There were times you thought you failed, but you didn't fail. You transitioned. You didn't lose your worth. You outgrew certain situations. You didn't fall backward. You were shifted forward. You didn't get rejected. I redirected you. And even though it hurt, even though it left you wondering, even though it made you question things you once felt sure about, you must know this. I never abandoned you to loss. I have been holding restoration in my hands the entire time. Restoration is not returning things to the way they once were. Restoration means returning things in a better form, stronger, deeper, healthier, and more aligned with the destiny written for you. There are things you let go with tears that I will return to you with joy. There are opportunities you thought you missed that will find their way back. This time with maturity, clarity, and timing that honors who you've become. There are dreams you thought were too distant or too delayed. Yet, they are still alive, waiting for the moment I release them. Nothing that carries purpose has expired. You may not understand everything now, but one day you will look back and say, "Now I see. Now I understand why that season ended. Now I understand why that chapter closed. Now I understand why I had to walk away. Now I understand why the loss was necessary. What felt like loss was actually positioning. What felt like setback was preparation. What felt like the end was only the turning point. I have been working even when you saw no evidence of progress. I have been aligning behind the scenes. I have been strengthening you for what's ahead. I have been preparing restoration, not rushed, not fragile, not incomplete, but full and meaningful. So now, release the belief that what was lost defines you. Release the fear that the best parts of your life are behind you. Release the thought that you missed something permanent. The best is not behind you. The best is unfolding ahead of you. The pages still unwritten carry glory, purpose, alignment, and beauty you cannot yet imagine. Everything you thought was gone, I know how to restore. Everything you thought was wasted, I know how to redeem. Everything you thought would never return, I know how to rebuild. Everything that left, if it is meant for your destiny, it will return transformed, strengthened, and aligned. And if it doesn't return, it's because something even better is coming. So breathe, my child. You are not empty. You are being prepared. You are not behind. You are being positioned. You are not forgotten. You are held. What you thought was lost is not gone. It is waiting for its appointed time. And restoration, true, divine restoration, is already on its way to you. My child, now that your heart understands that nothing truly leaves without purpose and nothing I've ordained can be lost, I want you to understand what I am doing next. I am rebuilding, not partially, not slowly, not in fragments, but fully, intentionally, beautifully. I am not restoring only pieces of what was taken. I am restoring identity, confidence, hope, vision, and every part of you that was affected by the loss. Sometimes the restoration of circumstances begins with the restoration of the soul, because once the soul is whole, the blessing can rest upon it without being shaken. You have carried disappointment long enough. You have lived with unspoken grief long enough. You have wondered long enough whether your best moments are behind you. But I am breathing life into every part of you that grew silent under pressure. And what once felt finished will rise again, not the same, but better, stronger, clearer, and purposeful. You see, there were moments when you accepted loss because the pain was too heavy to keep resisting. You stopped believing certain things could ever be healed, restored, or redeemed, not out of doubt in me, but because you no longer wanted to feel the ache of hope. You told yourself, maybe this chapter is done. Maybe I shouldn't expect anything more. Maybe things will never return to how they should have been. But I want you to hear this carefully. Nothing is too broken for me to rebuild. Nothing is too complicated for me to untangle. Nothing is too damaged for me to restore. And nothing is beyond the reach of my redemption. Everything you walked through shaped you for what I'm bringing. The losses softened your heart, and now compassion flows where pride once stood. The unanswered questions taught you humility, patience, and surrender. The closed doors matured you. The separation of certain relationships protected your spirit. The waiting refined your faith. And all of it, every tear, every silent prayer, every confusing season, has prepared you to receive restoration in a way you could not have before. There were times I allowed things to be removed because they were built on unstable foundations. Relationships based on fear, insecurity, dependency, or convenience could not carry you into the future I designed. Opportunities rooted in survival instead of calling would have drained you, not elevated you. Dreams formed through pressure instead of inspiration would have collapsed under responsibility. I could not restore what was misaligned. I first had to correct what was beneath it. Restoration does not mean returning to what once was. Restoration means returning to what was intended. And now that the foundation is stronger, now that your identity is clearer, now that your spirit is anchored, now that you no longer cling to what wasn't meant for you, restoration can begin. You will see my hand in ways you didn't expect. Old dreams will resurface with new meaning. People meant to stay in your future will return with honor, clarity, and purpose, not confusion or chaos. Doors that once closed will reopen in perfect timing, and this time, you will walk through them prepared. Opportunities you thought were missed will come back around, but not rushed or forced. This time, they will fit. This time, they will align. This time, they will bless you, not break you. I am restoring your confidence. The confidence life tried to steal. The confidence that was shaken by rejection, loss, or disappointment. You will no longer question whether you are capable, worthy, chosen, or equipped. You will walk with assurance, not arrogance, but identity. You will no longer shrink to make others comfortable. You will no longer dim your gifts to avoid being seen. You will no longer hide your calling because of fear or past wounds. You are being rebuilt inside first. I am restoring your joy, joy that is not based on circumstances, but rooted in peace. The kind of joy that makes you wake up with expectation rather than fear. The kind of joy that makes you smile without forcing it. The kind of joy that reminds you that life is still good, hope is still alive, and the future still carries promise. I am restoring your hope, not fragile hope, not conditional hope, not cautious hope, but steady, unshakable hope. The kind of hope that sees beyond what you feel. The kind of hope that believes even when the answer isn't visible yet. The kind of hope that reminds you that the story isn't over and the ending will be beautiful. I am restoring your relationships. Not all of them, but the ones aligned with purpose. Those meant to walk with you will return or remain. Those who could not honor your heart will not have access again. You will experience connections built on truth, respect, loyalty, and spiritual alignment. You will not chase anyone. Those meant for your journey will value you. I am restoring your strength, not the kind that simply endures, but the kind that thrives. You will not live in survival mode. You will not live exhausted mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. You will walk in strength that feels natural, grounded, peaceful, and steady. And yes, I am restoring what the enemy tried to steal. What was taken unfairly. What slipped away too soon. What pain attempted to bury. What time seemed to erase. What fear tried to silence. You will recover, not as a desperate attempt to relive the past, but as a fulfillment of what was always meant to manifest. Slowly, steadily, gently, restoration is happening. You are stepping into a season where what once hurt will now make sense, where what once felt like loss will become testimony, where what once felt empty will become overflowing. So breathe, my child. You do not need to fear restoration. You do not need to wonder how I will do it. You do not need to understand every step. Your only role is to trust. Trust that I am faithful. Trust that I see the full picture. Trust that I restore with excellence. And trust that what is coming is better than what was lost. Restoration is not far. It has already begun. My child, now that your heart understands that nothing is wasted, nothing is forgotten, and nothing is beyond redemption, I want you to shift from waiting with sorrow to waiting with expectation. You have carried disappointment like a quiet shadow, following you into new seasons, new opportunities, and new beginnings. Even when hope rose, part of you hesitated, afraid to believe again, afraid to feel again, afraid to open your heart too wide and risk being hurt again. But hear me. Restoration is not coming to break you. It is coming to bless you. What is ahead of you will not repeat the pain of the past. What I am bringing will not end in loss or confusion. This time, things will not fall apart. They will fall into place. You do not need to brace yourself for disappointment. You do not need to question whether you deserve restoration. You do not need to fear good things. You do not need to wait for something to go wrong. You are stepping into a season where blessings will not feel temporary. They will feel established. What I restore will not be fragile. It will be strengthened. What I return will not come back broken. It will return whole. What I rebuild will not look like what was lost. It will be better in every way, because I am the one rebuilding it. There have been times where you felt restoration would only happen if you pushed harder, prayed louder, worked longer, or tried to fix everything on your own. But restoration is not birthed through striving. It is birthed through surrender. What I am rebuilding in your life is not dependent on your perfection. It is dependent on my promise. I am not asking you to figure everything out. I am not asking you to chase what left. I am not asking you to force what is not ready. I am asking you only to trust. Trust that I am faithful. Trust that I am intentional. Trust that I restore with precision and tenderness. You will begin noticing signs, subtle at first. Your heart will feel lighter. Your thoughts will feel clearer. Old emotional wounds will stop feeling sharp. Memories that once brought pain will soften into understanding. The heaviness you carried will start to fade. The version of you who lived guarded will begin to relax. You will feel safe again. Not because life is easy, but because my presence is leading you. And then, things will begin unfolding externally. Opportunities will align. Doors will open. Conversations will happen. Connections will form. And progress will accelerate. Not in chaos, but with clarity. Not with pressure, but with grace. Not with fear, but with confidence. Restoration will unfold gently, beautifully, and unmistakably. You may be wondering, Lord, what exactly will you restore? And my answer is this: everything that carries purpose, everything connected to destiny, everything aligned with your calling, everything I originally intended, not everything you wanted, but everything that is meant. I will restore peace where anxiety lived. I will restore joy where sadness lingered. I will restore strength where weariness existed. I will restore clarity where confusion clouded your vision. I will restore confidence where doubt tried to silence you. I will restore relationships that are meant to remain and release the ones that cannot go forward. I will restore your voice, the one life tried to quiet. I will restore your dreams, the ones fear tried to bury. I will restore your purpose, the one pain tried to distract you from. I will restore your identity, the one insecurity tried to distort. Nothing I restore will return empty. It will return with increase. My child, you are entering a season where you will not simply recover what was lost. You will receive more than what was taken. You will not only regain peace, you will gain wisdom. You will not only regain opportunity, you will gain discernment. You will not only regain stability, you will gain confidence. you will not only regain strength, you will gain authority. This is not just restoration. This is redemption with multiplication. So breathe deeply. The chapter ahead is not built on pain. It is built on promise. You do not need to fear the future. You do not need to rehearse the past. You do not need to shrink yourself to protect your heart. You do not need to carry the weight of what went wrong. Lift your chin, soften your spirit, and prepare to receive, because restoration is already in motion. And now, my child, as your father, I speak over you gently and with love. May peace settle deeply within you, the kind of peace that cannot be shaken. May strength rise in your spirit, steady, quiet, enduring. May courage awaken, courage to believe again, hope again, and trust again. May your heart open, not in fear, but in expectation. May your mind rest, free from worry, doubt, and heaviness. May your future unfold with grace, step by step, in perfect timing. You are covered, you are protected, you are guided, you are chosen, and the restoration you are stepping into will remind you, I never left, I never failed you, and I always knew how to restore what was lost beautifully. If this message touched your spirit, write, Lord, restore me. Like this, if you felt peace while listening. Subscribe to God's Amen message so you never miss what God speaks next. Share this with someone who needs restoration. Remind them, nothing is too lost for God.